3 secret reasons why men leave good women. You think you're doing everything right in your relationship. You're supportive, you're caring, you're there for him. But something feels off. He's pulling away and you can't figure out why. But here's what most relationship experts won't tell you. The reason good men leave good women has nothing to do with what you think it does. Because the biggest threat to your relationship isn't another woman, it isn't his career, and it isn't even commitment issues. The real reason will completely change how you approach love. And once you understand this psychology, you'll never wonder why men pull away again. I know this might be hard to hear, but if you've ever felt like you're walking on eggshells in your relationship, constantly trying to figure out what went wrong, you're not alone. Most women make the same critical mistakes without even realising it. And before we dive deep into this, I want you to know that this isn't about blaming anyone. This is about understanding the hidden psychology that drives men's behaviour in relationships. Because when you understand the why, you can finally stop the pattern. Here's the first thing that will shock you. Men don't leave because they don't love you. They leave because they don't feel valued for who they are. But here's where it gets tricky. Most women think they're showing appreciation, but they're actually doing the opposite. When you constantly try to improve him or point out what he could do better, his brain interprets this as rejection. Think about it this way. Imagine if someone kept giving you suggestions on how to be a better version of yourself. Even with good intentions, it would feel like they don't accept the current you, right? This is what relationship experts call emotional incompatibility, but it's really about personal growth, both yours and his. When a man feels like a project instead of a partner, his emotional intelligence tells him he's not enough as he is. And this leads us to something even more surprising. Reason number 2, the respect versus love dilemma. Most women operate from a place of love. You want to nurture, care for, and support. But here's what most dating advice gets wrong. Men need respect even more than they need love. But what does respect actually look like? It's not about being submissive or agreeing with everything. Real respect means trusting his decisions, acknowledging his efforts, and not trying to control the outcome of his choices. When you constantly worry about him, check up on him, or offer unsolicited advice, you're communicating that you don't trust his judgment. And when a man doesn't feel respected, he starts to question the entire relationship. This is where emotional intelligence becomes crucial. A man who feels disrespected will either become defensive and argumentative, or he'll shut down completely. Neither response helps the relationship, but both are predictable once you understand this psychology. But there's one more reason that's even more powerful than the first 2. Reason number 3, the intimacy trap. Here's the most counterintuitive part. Men don't leave because the physical intimacy is gone. They leave because the emotional intimacy has become one-sided. Most women think emotional intimacy means sharing feelings and talking about the relationship. But for men, emotional intimacy often means feeling safe to be vulnerable without being judged or fixed. When every conversation becomes about improving the relationship or discussing feelings, he starts to feel like he can't just exist in the space with you. He feels like he always has to be on and performing emotional labour. This is why so many good men pull away from good women. It's not that they don't want intimacy, they want the kind of intimacy where they can be themselves without constant analysis or improvement suggestions. The irony? The more you chase emotional connection through talking, the more he'll retreat. But when you create space for him to come to you naturally, that's when real intimacy happens. So how do you break this cycle? It starts with understanding that personal growth in relationships isn't about changing each other. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. First, practice appreciation without an agenda. Notice what he does right and acknowledge it without adding suggestions for improvement. Second, show respect by trusting his process. Even when you disagree with his approach, resist the urge to manage the outcome. Third, create emotional safety by being calm in his storm, not another source of pressure or analysis. But here's what most dating advice won't tell you about implementing these changes. The truth is, when you stop trying so hard to keep a man, you often end up keeping him effortlessly, because the energy of desperation repels, but the energy of confidence and emotional intelligence attracts. If this resonated with you, I want you to try one thing this week. Instead of asking, how can I make this relationship better? Ask yourself, how can I become more secure in who I am? What's one way you're going to practice appreciation without an agenda this week? Let me know in the comments below. And if this helped you understand your relationship differently, hit that subscribe button, because we're diving deep into the psychology of love every single week. Remember, the goal isn't to manipulate or control, it's to understand. And when you understand the psychology behind behaviour, you can finally stop taking things personally and start building the relationship you actually want.